Good evening, good evening, good evening. My name is Lisa Marie from Sistah Girls Book Club, and we are here with author Kimberly Brown. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Very excited to get into your latest release, Hold Me While You Wait. But first, I would like to start off with five quick icebreaker questions to get the conversation started.
All right. I'm ready.
Don't think, just answer.
Ooh, I'm an overthinker, so we'll
Oh,
see.
aren't we all at this point in life? But these questions aren't that hard. Okay. And I see we have some people joining us. So if you join us while we are doing these icebreaker questions, just pop into the chat, say hey, say who you are, tell us where you're watching from. And we will be taking comments and questions from the chat throughout this conversation. Okay. For you, Kimberly, water, wine, coffee, or tea?
Why?
I'm going to go ahead and just drink to
I
that.
would pull mine out, but I don't have a cup up here, so I don't want to be on camera drinking from the bottle. So
Oh, okay. She got class. Like a classy lady. Morning or night?
night.
Me too. Digital or print?
Mm, both.
Mm-mm.
Mm.
You got to listen. To the directions.
I'm gonna say digital just because I can take it everywhere with me.
That is my exact reason. Standalone or series?
Standalone.
Y'all be saying that and then be writing these
I mean,
songs.
I love a good series too.
We okay.
I love a good series, but I like standalones.
Music or quiet?
Music.
Hmm. Okay, that wasn't too bad, right?
No.
All right. Hey, Alika girl from Georgia.
Hi,
Um,
Ali.
I'm in Philly. Kimberly, where are you from? Or where are
I'm
you now?
in Carolina right now.
Who's in South Carolina? Where are you from?
Well, I'm from South Carolina. It's a teeny tiny little town called Branchville, but
Okay.
I'm currently in Columbia, the Columbia Elgin area.
And what do you like to do when you're not writing?
I love spending time with my family and my nieces and nephews, my godchildren. I'm a very family oriented person, so I
That's
prefer to be.
beautiful. This book was very family oriented. Is that where you pull some of that warmth from?
Mhm.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
book was very family oriented. But before we get into the book, I just want to kind of ask you more questions about yourself. But we're going to get into the book, and I just want to highlight that I love that this book was so family oriented. Even though they were small families, it went to show that even sometimes the smallest of families can have the most love in them. It was very beautiful.
Thank you.
When did you know you wanted to be an author?
Oh, I'm gonna say about sixth grade.
Wow,
I
that's
originally, it is a very long time.
yeah,
I originally started with poetry,
okay.
but then I kind of got into writing my first story, and I kind of pushed poetry aside. And
Well,
ever
it
since
is National Poetry Month, FYI.
then,
If you want to, throw some stuff out there,
I haven't written a poem in a very long time, so mm, I don't
might
know
be
if
a good time to try. Just saying.
it might. It might.
Hmm, Never know where our talents might take us.
We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see.
As long as you're not saying never, never say never.
I'm not gonna say never,
Cool,
but
cool.
I mean it is very therapeutic. I can put my feelings into the poetry, so I might jump back into that every so often.
Okay. And I already know you like to read because you mentioned some very good books. In Hold Me While You Wait, our main character, she was an avid reader, and that played a big part of the start of their relationship.
Mhm.
So when you are not writing, what do you like to read? And if you could share three must read books with our sister girls who are tuning in, which we have some people tuning in. So make sure you guys say hi in the chat. Don't be quiet. We don't like quiet. So I see y'all tuning in. I just can't see who's tuning in and from where, but make sure you talk to us because we finna chat back.
Um, three must reads. I don't have three must reads, but I have three. I can say three of my go to authors are probably Melda, Monica Walters, and who else is on my shelf? But I have a lot of their books.
Oh, I love that. She said, "Let me take a look to the left." I love that. Yes.
Um, Somebody that I think I've read almost everything they've written. Tannin from
Okay.
Tannin Tales.
Oh,
She wrote.
Shannon Tells. Ooh, that's a spicy mommy right there.
I love
I gotta get
her. I
her.
love
I
her
have
so
to
much.
get her on. I gotta get her on for an interview because that is a spicy mommy. Like I don't know. And I tried to and before we started, I told you, I did do like a back read on a lot of your catalog before reading this book. And I could have chose a spicier book, but I've been choosing a lot of spicy books. Um, but a lot of you authors have been very spicy lately, which I'm not complaining. I am a mommy who likes the spice. Like I
I
love
love
it. Okay. Because
her.
I read the expiration date before this. I read what did I read? Hold on, wait. It was something else I read that was real spicy. What was the one with the two best friends and the guy
Um, oh,
and
Jesus,
they
why?
met? It was a sister
A naughty offer. Was it
child.
a naughty offer? It was either a naughty offer or something she could feel.
Well,
Or
I read both of them at the same time. Okay, I read them both at the same
I
time.
think Still Love
This is she's spicy. So I didn't choose. Like I was reading. So somebody sent me because I was looking for spicy reads. I'm just going to tell you, I was looking for the spicy reads. I'm always looking for spicy reads because I love spicy reads. And they sent me that, and I said, so you had this new book come out, and I was like, oh, let me read this because this is her newest release. I was like, oh, these authors. I've been trying to like balance the spicy with the romance,
Mhm.
and I don't know what is going on in the Black independent literary community,
You can turn it up a little notch.
but it got turned up. Did you hear this 2023 to 2024? Oh, it's turned up. And I was like, I'm going to tell you why I clap. Okay. Black romance is beautiful. I love Black romance. I think that we do need more stories like this one that we're about to get into. But I also think seeing us in these other places, spicy clubs, in non-traditional relationships that are healthy and actually work,
Mhm.
we're everywhere, and I like to see us everywhere. And I think reading gives me an opportunity to see us everywhere,
Mhm.
because in real life we are given these boxes. And I think what's beautiful about Black literature, and specifically independent Black literature right now, is that authors are taking chances of kicking down those walls of those boxes
Mhm.
and are like, no, this is what I'm writing, and you're either going to read it or you're going to find the next project, or this is just not for you, right?
I
Versus
agree.
trying to fit us all into these very small, oh, boy met girl, girl met boy, and it's like it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I love Black love. I love unproblematic Black love. This was a very unproblematic Black love story for the two couple. Like they had no issues in their relationship. All of their issues were outside outside forces. I love that. I'm happy to discuss that. But sometimes we have to get away from that and say Black love can also look like this.
I
So I
agree with
just
that.
want to applaud you because you did a very beautiful job in previous stories doing that. So I do want to give you your flowers for that first before we
Thank
get.
you. I was very nervous about putting those two out just because of the
No,
contents. Like I
no,
warned people before they read it, like this is outside of my norm, but it's still good. So
no, it was very tastefully done, and the only reason I did not choose to interview you and discuss those books in more detail is because I literally just interviewed somebody about a spicy book last month, and I just want to try to make sure that we encompass all books into our introducing them into our Sister Girls book club. But I did read, like I was on already a Kimberly Brown fix when this came out, and I was like, oh, it's a book out right now. Let me read this now. Because I love reading spicy. I've been reading spicy for a very long time, and I think it's kind of weird because I've been reading for a long time, and I used to could find a lot of spicy and Black spicy specifically. Zane, Eric Jerome, Dick, like uh noir, like it was like a time where Black spicy was like it was it. And then somewhere along the line, people was like, we're not gonna do black spice anymore. And I was like, well, what happened? But this last year, kudos to y'all. Kudos to y'all. Cause y'all right here.
I think erotica probably might be one of my favorite things to write.
Y'all,
It's so much fun. You can just
you're doing a good job.
you can just do a little bit of anything with that.
You're doing a great job because I even read the one where what was the one where the shorty was in the guy was a virgin
For his pleasure.
You're doing a what's that TikTok? You're doing great, sweetie. And if you ever need somebody to send it to, I volunteer as tribute.
I got you.
I volunteer as tribute. I am a spicy reader, okay? I love the spice. But okay, since we're talking about spice and we're talking about erotica, tell us, how do you feel about genres and tropes? And when you're writing, do you determine which genre and trope that the story will be in before, or do you complete the story and say, I guess it fits into this, so that's what we'll call it?
I don't really outline, so I don't even really think about that.
So you a flow writer. You just go with the flow.
Yeah, I just whatever's coming into my head at that moment, that's what I'm writing. So I think I think about it as a whole after I get done, like, okay, what genre am I gonna put this into? Or what does it fit into?
Okay.
Like I just had an interview a couple days ago with some girls on Instagram. It was the Sip and Read girls on Instagram, and we were talking, and I didn't realize they classified not a justified love affair. They classified the expiration date as kind of like a rom-com, and I didn't think about that. But then I thought about it. There was a lot of funny moments in there between.
Maybe she was throwing coffee on people. It was definitely very rom-com. I could definitely see that becoming. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like I didn't think about that when I wrote it, but after they sat down and we discussed it, I'm like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I would definitely put that in the rom-com category because she was a mess. Not a mess in a bad way, but she was a mess. Like, girl,
she was a lot.
She was a lot. But okay. Oh, so even with the spicy ones, you don't pre-categorize?
Well, with those, I can say that I do. I determine that they're going to be an erotica before I write them. As I go, if I'm going to do an erotica, I'm going to go into it knowing that it's an erotica.
And do you feel like this is just a question I've been posing because I'm just curious, because we actually have a OPAD on our website. Is romance just erotica with a love story? Like, is all romance erotica? How do you feel about the difference between romance and erotica?
I think it's a very vast difference, but at the same time, I think it might depend on the author, because sometimes you can do romance and then the sex scenes just seem very erotic. Mm-hmm. I think I tend to do that. I was just telling Keishani the other day, I need her to go ahead and accept the fact that you write romance with erotic elements, because her spicy scenes are always very spicy. But I think they can coexist at the same time.
And I agree. I second that. They can coexist at the same time, but they don't always overlap.
Yeah.
I agree. Just gonna take a 30-second break. Hey, Takia girl. Takia. We got Takia, Velda, Christina. Nobody else has said anything, but we got people on here. They just not talking yet. But y'all can go ahead and say something. But hey, Takia girl, I miss you, boo. I can't wait to see you in 2025. And Velda, one of my favorite reader friends. Hey, y'all. So let's now that we've kind of gotten to know you a little bit better as an author and some of your thoughts, let's get into the nitty-gritty of Hold Me While You Wait. Right. This was a beautifully written love story.
Thank you.
I had never seen this meet cute before. I'm not sure if others have, but tell me about this meet cute. You have two parental figures that meet essentially because of their children. I have not read that yet. I'm not saying that this is the first story that has done that, but I don't see this often. Like, this is not a trope that's trending right now. I'll say that. There are a lot of tropes trending right now. This is not one of them. Tell me what, like, where did you get the inspiration from, and how did you develop that meet cute? Like, let me take a walk through your imagination and your creative juice, and just tell me about it.
So I knew I wanted both of these characters to have children, and I thought, what better way for them to meet? If they were gonna eventually become a family unit, then what better way for them to meet than through their children? So we have Samaya, and she has her niece Jaslyn, and she also has her son EJ. Um, and then we have Xander, he has his daughter Deanna. And they meet the very first day of school
Yep.
because Xander has vitiligo, and his
Mhm.
daughter has the condition also.
We're gonna discuss that.
Yes. So they meet because Samaya's niece
Smacks
defends Jaslyn.
fully.
Yes, she defends her from some bullies that were picking on her about her skin condition. And Samaya ends up getting called up to the office, and Xander is there, and of course, he's not very happy about that because Deanna, she's a very shy, very timid child. She doesn't bother anybody, so there should be no reason that he should be getting called because she's getting bullied. Um, so that's just how their meeting came about. Well, that's their second time meeting that day. The first time they met, she went to go
In the office.
sign some paperwork. He was there signing paperwork, and she saw him, and it was just like,
It was an instant attraction.
it was an
Like,
instant
they
attraction.
both was like, ew, ew, but nobody made a move. Nobody.
And I think what I loved about her, she looked past his skin condition and saw the man beneath him. She was just all around very attracted to him.
She was. Yeah, that was. Yeah, I don't know. Have y'all read this Meet Cute before? Tell me, for our viewers. This was my first time reading this Meet Cute, and I really liked it. And I was like, I usually don't even like. Usually, one person has a child, and it's like, oh, I love your child so much, and it's like, oh, I'm falling in love with you because you love my child. But hey, Blossom. But this was really ooh, not Takia claiming this man. Okay, Takia. See you, boo. But you mentioned both Xander and his daughter had this skin condition, which you don't often. It's very common, not very common. Let me hold on. Let me take 2 steps back. It's not very common. It's more common than what people think, but I
Mhm.
feel like it has recently been more in the public. Like now, I know we have like Winnie Harlow, Terrence J, Latoya Luckett's new boyfriend. I don't know who he is, but he has this condition as well. What made you want to take on this condition, and how did you research it? And is this how the character came to you, or is this something that you saw as a way to introduce something to the community in a safe way?
I think I might have been scrolling through Instagram, and I happened to come across the person that I use for the visual. I happened to come across his
You got
picture.
visuals?
I did have a visual.
Ain't nobody told me nothing about no visuals.
I usually keep them in my readers group. This is either readers group or Instagram.
Okay.
I can pull it up while I'm talking. Um, but I think I came across his picture, and I'm like, you know what? I think he would be a very nice character. What kind of storyline can I put him with?
Mhm.
Um, I'm a very big advocate for mental health, so I could assume that somebody with his condition would have endured maybe some bullying when he was younger, and then along with his character, with his mother being an addict, I think I just wanted to bring him. I think he was a very good character to
And again, this was one of those books that I read where I said to myself, this was an opportunity
it
for
was.
us to show that we are everywhere, right? We are everywhere, because his skin condition did not stop the fact that he was hood. It did not stop the fact that he dealt with this trauma. It did not, like, it was like you hear these stories. It's like, oh, I don't like it's box. It's a box. And it's like, I think this was a good way to kick down a box of how we see certain things, because even if it's not something we see in our everyday lives or something we've experienced, it does not mean that there's not a Black person out there who is experiencing this.
Agreed.
Um, this book was mature, very mature, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a very grown in, sexy book. Like when I think about, I am soon to be 35,
Me
and when
too.
I think about dating, this is the kind of dating that the kind of courtship that I think that like most grown women are leaning into desiring. And maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but tell me, what did you want the relationship between Maya and Xander's story to communicate?
Um, I think for them, being that he came from a, I wouldn't say a broken home, but
It was
he came
broken.
from not,
I
yeah,
mean,
it was broken to an extent,
it was
but
a little bit more than broken. It was
he
traumatized.
came from, yeah, trauma. He came from trauma. She came from trauma. I think I wanted to showcase that just because you grew up in bad circumstances, that you don't have to become a product of your environment. That you are still worthy of love. You still deserve love, and you deserve that with somebody who is going to love you wholeheartedly, unconditionally, no matter what.
Yeah, that I definitely got that message from this book. Blossom said the car seems spicy. Let me tell you, Kimberly couldn't tone. She said, "I'm a spicy mommy now. I can't tone it down." She said, "I might give y'all some romance. I might give y'all juke joints in bookstores." And listen, I knew I was done for when that man's listen. A man who's good with his hands is always a man who is good with me. Nowadays, for a man to tell you, "I'll just put it together," like not even I'll put it together for you, girl. Give me the measurements. I'll build it. You finna do what? You gonna build me? This man they say I'm gonna, just go get a bookshelf and I'll put it together. He said, "Let me go measure it. I'll build you one." You gonna fix the stuff on my car too?
Right. If she did, he did not have to tell her twice. Like, okay, you know what? You said you're gonna do it.
You
Let's go
can
get
pay
the
my
whole bag.
bills and build me stuff, baby. A man who is good with his hands will always be good in my book.
I agree. I
Cause
agree.
baby, you said you're gonna do what? You said you wanted tacos, spaghetti, Alfredo. What is it that you wanted? Because you said you wanted the jambalaya again, the gumbo. I, what is it that you want?
He deserved it all. He
He
deserved it
deserved
all.
it all. Um. Okay. So we had this real mature couple, right? Very mature, very sexy, very. Both were very in tune with their feelings. Like what I liked about this book. It was no running. Usually, when I read books and the feelings are so intense, so fast, and the pressure is getting worse, somebody runs. There was no running in this book. Like there was no, I'm gonna shut down, not talk to you no more. So that was beautiful. But we did get messy a little bit towards the end.
Hmm.
Let's just chat about the messiness. Now, what in your right mind, when you sat down at that computer screen, you saw, see, because you know where I'm going with this. You laughing and giggling, all innocent and cute, because you know where I'm going with this. The ex-husband, baby daddy, baby mama situation.
Listen, they were just happy to get them out of their hair. Well, specifically, Samaya was happy to get her ex husband out of her hair. Um, I feel like eventually they would help each other grow and see where they went wrong.
You so mature. I'm so
A lot
mature.
of people in the review said that they don't think they could have been that mature.
I went and got
In
me a
real life, I don't know if I could have been that mature either. But
you like 'cause what type of maturity? Because even if I don't have feelings for you, that's like real close. That's like real close. And I often see people yeah, to kid, it was very much in the family. Like, and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like, and that was at the last 30-20% of the book, I think. And I was like, well, now hold on, Miss Brown, because you're trying to throw me for a loop now, baby.
listen, it threw me for a loop too because I had not originally planned for that to happen. I don't know what I had planned for the two of them, but it was not for them to be together. That
We
just
was
came
riding
out.
smooth. We was riding smooth and steady. And I thought I just had me a nice, cute romance novel, a little spice. And I was like, this is great. This is what I needed to clean my palate. Like, that's not a bad thing. Let me just tell you, because sometimes people think that when I say that, that's a bad thing. But sometimes the girl has to take a break from all of the drama and all of the drama and all of the stress, and just have a nice, mature, adult black romance. And that's what this was for me. It was like, oh, this is so, like, it was so pleasurable to read this story. I must tell you, like, it was very pleasurable. It was like, wow, she ain't no damsel in distress. This is talking about business. This is a man who knows what he wants. It wasn't no over the topness, not like in a, it was a very realistic story until we got to that part. I was like, she had to go on ahead and throw something in here for us.
It came out of nowhere for me too, because I don't even know if I was gonna have them meet, but I guess in my head they were thinking, okay, we're gonna eventually be family anyway. We're gonna be around each other for these
So let me
kids.
let me tell you how I feel. I feel like Elliot should have had to got jumped into the gang. Raise your hand if you feel like Elliot should have had to got jumped into the gang. Actually, you know what? She should have had to get jumped. She should have had to get jumped into the gang too. I
don't know about Mona. I feel okay. So with Mona,
I pity Mona. Okay, let me tell you first. I'm gonna tell you my answer first. I give Mona more grace than I give Elliot, and some people probably giving me the side eye for saying that. Some people probably like, girl, how you? She was young, she was hood, she didn't have direction, right? And she's doing this thing with a person who she don't know, who don't have direct. Like, my girl had some real serious considerations as to why she didn't want to have this baby. Like, when I read it from that point of view, when she was like, nigga, what did you finna do to make us safe? Like, you out here doing this, that, and that. My girl had some real consideration. Showed me she actually had a good head on her shoulder, right? She was like, I ain't got it together. You ain't got it together. Before somebody bring a baby into this, I actually wish more people felt this way. Before we bring a baby into this, somebody should have it together. So I give her a little more grace than I give the ex-husband baby daddy.
I don't think I would have given Elliot any grace. In real life, it would have been going about your business, sir. But with her, I think, like you said, she had legit reasons for why she did not want to have a baby. I think she went about it the wrong way. Some of the things that she said to him were just completely out of pocket, and the way that she showed back up, that was out of pocket.
And that's why I kind of want to get her jumped into the gang as well, because she did not respect boundaries. I mean, she came around to respecting boundaries, but she didn't respect boundaries. And I'm big on boundaries, is because I'm at a real big age now. And I keep telling people, me about to turn 35, I have changed completely as a person. I'm at a real big age now, and I respect boundaries, and I have a lot of them. She did not respect them.
She did not, and I think it came from desperation. She was desperate to get to actually be a part of her child's life. Um, Now, a lot of people say, "Oh, well, if she, with her backstory of not being able to have kids, um, after she had Deanna, a lot of people were like, "Oh, she probably wouldn't have came back if she hadn't been able to, if she had been able to have kids." I don't think that would have been the case.
Well, guess what? It don't matter, because that's not how the story was written.
No, I think she would have come back eventually. She mentioned in the story that it had been bothering her for a really long time,
and her
and
mom was hanging it over her head. Right. And once black mamas get stuck on something, baby, you give black mamas a bone,
they're not gonna come up off it at all. And I think she came back with good intentions. The way that she went about it was wrong, but she had good intentions. When she finally got to see her, she broke down, she apologized, and after that, she was nothing but respectful.
And she was Deanna. Like, I did love the kids. The kids were the comedic relief in this book. They were hilarious.
EJ.
Every time EJ said, Every time EJ said I want to be big people's, I like heard Tommy.
That is where I got that from.
Okay, I heard Tommy in my head. Like, I don't want to be a big person no more, Tommy. I got responsibility. Like, I literally heard Tommy Pickles every time EJ said he wanted to be big people's.
That is where that came from.
EJ is going to have in 5 years, well, maybe not five because he's a child. In 15 years, EJ is going to have the best age gap romance ever written.
EJ is gonna be another Reese. He's gonna definitely want him a cougar because he's in love with everybody.
Yeah, he's gonna have him. We're gonna 15 years from now, we're gonna have the age gap romance of the times, baby. Okay, of the times. But the kids were like just definitely the comedic relief of actually making this a rom-com too. Like I mean this was more romance, but I definitely got the comedy part. Like definitely the spice too was there, as mentioned previously. Definitely had some hot stuff. Got some hot stuff for you, baby, this evening. Like it was definitely hot. But thank you for expounding upon your thoughts of them two people um getting together, because we did get to the 30% mark and was like, it's messy. I mean, Maya was for it, so and I felt like
she was ready to get out of her hair.
Xander was going to be for whatever Maya was for. Maya's best friend, so Maya's best friend, she getting a book.
I have not planned for her to get a book, but I think I left it open just in case.
I was just curious, and I was, you know, what made me curious when she started talking about she could go either way, and I was like, well, this is a spicy mommy writer, and now we got this friend talk about she could do whatever's clever, like whatever's good for her heart. That's what she said. Whatever's good for her heart. That's what she said.
I haven't decided if I'm going to give her a book, but I think I left it open.
Okay.
For her to have a storyline if I need something that I need to put out. So she could always get one. I think she would be a very interesting character for me.
Yeah, I mean, this is a business owner with a child who is in their not mid, but
she's in her early 30s.
Early 30s. Which I just want to let y'all know, mid 30s is midlife. Just FYI. Just saying. I'm having a midlife crisis at this moment. So for character development, how do you work on developing these characters, their personalities? Do you gain inspiration from real life occurrences? Like you told me the visual came from this. The visual for Xander came from this person. Oh, wait. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that was my visual for her.
See, that's not how I pictured her, but okay, I can see it now. Not how I pictured her, but kind of mostly how I pictured him. Is he a model or something? Wait,
he is.
Okay, so I think I've seen him before, and I think when I saw him, my brain was torn between the gentleman that LaToya Luckett is currently dating and him, because I've seen that model before. And then Deanna was a baby Winnie Harlow, just only because in my mind it was like, oh, she's so pretty. Everybody kept saying how pretty she is, like how pretty she is. And Winnie Harlow is known for being like, she's like the most popular female model that has, but I can't say the word. I'm just gonna stumble upon it. I hate when I can't say stuff. I be trying.
That's how they pronounce it. I might be chopping it up too, but I think that's how it's
in my mind, in my brain, I am properly pronouncing this word. But something happens when it comes from my brain to coming out of my verbiage that it just gets all jumbled up.
I completely understand. I do. I actually found, like, if I were to do like, I'm not even going to put that in the atmosphere because somebody is going to
audiobook.
No, it's in audiobook. But if I were to do like a spinoff with Deanna and Jaslyn, I actually already found the visual for her, and I can see it being her as her coming into being more comfortable in her skin and whatnot. But I don't want to put that out there because somebody's gonna ask for it.
No, because I wasn't going to ask that because they're children, and I tend not to ask for spinoffs for children because I feel like it's weird reading I just read about you. You was a kid and now you're an adult. And I get it. This is ever after Lamb. We all made up in our mind, but I need space. Like I need at least a year or so before we do. Like, oh, I could see them going off to college together.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay. Let's wait. Let's not dismiss this so quickly, babe. Because now we on to something. I could see them going off the like a young adult romance. Let's not dismiss this too quickly.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to get away from spinoffs because
I can see Deanna getting it. I can see Deanna getting into the spicy life.
I can see that too. Like, let me see it.
Not like Jazz as a dominatrix because she just not submissive at all. Like I like that is a young lady who she said, I'm not gonna accept your apology because you apologizing for yourself and not for me. And I was like,
right.
I wish at her age I had the wherewithal to tell people
Exactly how you felt.
to know my worth. I really do want to commend the children in this book. Like they, even EJ with his little funny self, but like these young women, and we saw so much growth from Deanna being shy and shying away from confrontation in the very first chapter to being able to stand up to her biggest adversary, which was abandonment issues from her mother. Like I think that was really huge. And speaking of huge, both Samaya and Xander struggled with abandonment and childhood trauma. Those were huge issues, but you intentionally use that to build a solid foundation for their romantic relationship.
Mhm. Like
Like,
I didn't want them to be bond. I didn't want them to trauma bond
right.
and it be negative for each other, but I wanted them to be able to relate to each other in their struggles and why they might be the way they are, why they might do certain things the way that they do them. I didn't want it to be a trauma bond, but I wanted it to be an element of themselves that kind of just
And that's why I said, like, the
each other.
word I used for this specific story was mature, grown, and sexy. Because even with everything that they both had experienced separately, they allowed it to not hinder who they showed up as for each other.
I agree, and that was very intentional.
And that
I
was
think
more so the
often
question: was that intentional? Like, was that
it was very intentional.
was that
I think oftentimes people will go through something and they'll grow up a certain way and they'll end up becoming a product of their environment
using
because
as an excuse?
yes, it explains a lot of why you are the way you are, but it doesn't excuse half of your behavior. Um, I
Well,
like that both of them were able to take accountability and just learn and grow and not they didn't let their circumstances make them into the person that they didn't want to be. They didn't become the product of their environment. They became the people that they wished showed up for them.
mm-hmm.
Like with her losing her mom and then losing her sister, she had to become I don't even know how to say it. She just had to rely on her own strength to get through everything that she went through with her ex-husband, with him not wanting her niece or whatnot. Because first of all, he had a lot of audacity to even ask her to tell her it's gonna be me and our family or her. Because I don't know where in his mind he thought that she was gonna choose him after losing the person that like literally the only family she had.
When the stories come to you, because you like, how do they cut? Like, do you hear voices? Do you see scenes? Do you like how?
Um, most authors will tell you that the characters talk to them, and they really do. Like I feel like I'm the vessel that
Mhm.
just writes their story,
Okay.
and that's just
And like, but like, what do you? I don't know, because you just said it. Because the way you was just talking, it, it was like you don't even know this person. Like this person they come from your imagination, sis.
um. I
He
wouldn't say I don't know them.
him is a product of your imagination, babe.
Yeah,
You made us hate him.
I don't know. I feel like every book needs a somebody Well, I wouldn't say every book. This particular book, I felt like I needed a villain, and he was the person. Because when I wrote the words that he said to her in my head, I was like, why would you say that?
Is that something you would say as a person?
It's not. Like, I would never say anything like that. I would never say anything like that to
Not
anybody.
even alter ego you?
No, I would never say anything like that to anybody.
I think he was a terrible person.
He was.
He was a selfish and self-righteous person. Um, but believe it or not, I unfortunately, like I said, this book was so realistic and not in a bad way. Not in a I'm reading this and I'm trying to escape reality and this is not giving me what I need to give kind of way. I just know that there are people present in this world who would behave with that level of audacity.
Mhm.
And you hear these terms more like being thrown around more and more on social media, narcissist and self-centered, and you hear this stuff, but it really applies in some cases.
It does. There are people out here that are living exactly like that, that think they're very entitled to everything, or if it's not my way, then it's no way.
And people keep asking why are relationships failing at such a higher rate, and I look at stuff like this and it's like, that's why.
Right.
Selfishness, audacity, narcissism, using your upbringing as an opportunity to be a shitty person
I agree.
instead of overcoming. And even though we didn't see, I don't think we saw either character go to therapy, but they did a lot of work, self work,
Hmm.
for Xander. His inspiration was Deanna. Like that was his inspiration to completely, and we did not see the process on paper, but the process was explained in great detail as to what he needed to do, what he knew, what he knew. I can't even get the words out.
It
Of
happened.
knowing what he needed to do after Mona's objections and why her objections were brought to the table.
Mhm.
Because, like I said, she actually had a foot to stand on with that one. Like,
She did. She did.
um,
I think his biggest issue was with her was the fact that she said he begged her not to have an abortion, and she would say, "Okay, I'll think about it." But then she tells him, "I'm going to go ahead and get one." I think that was his biggest issue with her, and he really wanted. Of course, at his age, he probably didn't need a child, but being that he grew up without a father, he didn't want his baby to grow up
listen,
not knowing who he was. He didn't want his child to be in the system. He wanted to give the kind of love that he never got from his mother or his father.
like I said, we could be as mad at Mona as we want to be, which I'm sure I haven't seen it because I didn't go back and read reviews, and I'm not in your group, unfortunately. I could see why people would see Mona as a protagonist in this situation and on that side of the book. But as a woman who knows certain lifestyles and certain lifestyle choices, I think if she took some accountability and she said, I know what you do, I know who you are, and I know it's not safe.
Mhm.
And
She
I
had
think
every right to feel the way she felt. She
and I
really did.
think sometimes we don't take that into accountability and we put more people in these predicaments of trauma, right? Children, and that's how that cycle continues. And she did not know that Xander was going to do a complete 180 and get himself together.
Right.
So, um, do we have any questions? We have people online. Y'all aren't really chatty tonight, which is fine. Maybe it's because it's a Thursday. Y'all want the work week to be over. I feel you. But we are wrapping up. I can't believe it's been almost an hour already. We talked about your spicy levels. Just as you are spicy. Um, we talked about romance versus spicy. Talked about any character. I think we talked about every character. Oh, Miss Carmen.
I love Miss Carmen.
Miss Carmen was the best. She was
She was
awesome.
a motherly figure that I think
She was
Xander.
awesome.
She was one of my favorite characters.
Takia, I don't even know if I want to ask this question. Takia has an ex to grind. Okay, let me go ahead and give Takia. Takia said, "Now, what made you make them kids forgive Elliot? He's a trash man."
Um, I think I drew from a personal experience. Um, my father was around until I was about 12, and we found out that he had a substance abuse issue. And
Mm,
for the longest time, I don't think I was able to forgive him because I don't understand how you can forgive somebody for. I don't understand how you can be around one moment and then the next moment is like I'm nothing to you. And we made up. We eventually made up before he passed away. So I think with him, I had to accept an apology that I knew I was never going to get. But for these characters, I feel like I wanted him to genuinely, even though a lot of people probably don't think he was genuine in his apology to her. Um, I think Jaslyn finally being able to say exactly how she felt to him without any filter. Um, I think both of them needed that so he could see exactly how much he hurt her because she told him like you were my favorite uncle, and if anybody should have been there for me, would have stood up for me as a father figure,
it should
I
be.
would have thought that it was you. So I think she needed to. I think they needed to have that conversation, and I think she needed to be able to forgive him, just so she isn't carrying around all that anger. Because anger like that, it is just it can be very consuming, and you don't want to have that type of anger as a child and carry that into adulthood.
And now we done went to therapy. Thanks, Takia. We done went to therapy now. We done learned a lesson. And on that note, I'm going to ask one of my last questions, which is, what are some of the key takeaways you would want readers to have after reading this book?
Well, that was one of them. Is I think the main
Thank
focus
you.
of this
Thank
book
you for the segue, Takia.
was forgiveness. Because if you like like they said, forgiveness is not for the other person; it's for you. Because when you
I
carry,
always hated that saying, yo.
I
Like,
mean, I hate it too. Because sometimes you don't want to forgive people for certain things they did to you. Certain things are unforgivable. But if I feel like if I could get past some of the feelings that I have towards you for whatever you did to me, then God is gonna deal with you. Karma is gonna deal with you,
mhm,
and I can be okay.
okay.
It might have broken me just a little bit, but no, it might have bruised me just a little bit, but it did not break me.
Amen. Now we're going to church. We done went from talking about spicy romance therapy in church all in an hour. Y'all gonna have to start. I'm gonna start passing around a collection plate. Okay, that's what I'm gonna start doing. Any other main themes or ideas you want us to know about this particular book? And I'm gonna ask you about some other books.
Um, Probably not this one. Just I think the main theme of this one was forgiveness and growing from what you have gone through.
Was this an easy book to write for you?
Certain parts of it was a little hard. I think Xander's whole thing with his mother, and then Jaslyn's with um with Elliot, like the speech that she wrote, the speech that she I wouldn't say the speech, but the conversation she had with him is probably a conversation that I wish I could have had with my dad. So I kind of put a little bit of me into her.
I love
She
that.
said things that I wish I could have said, but that was it for that one.
So definitely, I mean, I cried some thug tears. Like I felt for Jazz. Like that was a hurt piece.
It was.
That was a hurt piece, and I think it put into perspective something that I always tell people is that you just don't know when, right? Like I get in my car almost every day. And if I was married, a lot of the times I would be getting in the car with my husband. I'm just going to speak that into existence since we in church now. God, whenever you're ready. because I'm tired of driving. So whenever you're ready, but don't, it puts into perspective like how often are wives and husbands both in the car together, right? Date nights or going to this kid's school or going back and forth. And it's like, again, what I love about reading is it gives you that perspective, right? Of us in our already lived trauma versus the unexpected trauma. And I think sometimes for what I love about why I started reading and what I love about Black romance or just Black literature in general is that it's our story and our voices and our experience made real. Like I've never dated somebody with this skin condition, but this gave me an opportunity to increase my perception of what they may have experienced and what how I could behave differently towards that person unbeknownst to me, because I've never had that direct interaction or connection with that person. So I think that was another thing I personally took away from this book outside of the I would like to go into a date where somebody tells me I can buy however many books that I want.
Right, I do too.
I actually posted something in the book club and it was like, if a guy asked you on a date to Barnes and Nobles, would you say yes? And I was like, baby, the question's gonna be what is my budget?
Right.
The question is not yes or no. It's what the answer is not yes or no. The question, what's the budget?
Can I bring a wagon to carry all of these books? Because I can't carry them in my hands.
The budget. Like y'all, listen. So I am now looking forward to the day that I meet a man and he's like, hey, I know you love to read. Let's go to the bookstore.
Do you want to get married now or later?
Like, I am looking forward to the day where a man says, hey, I'm going to build you a bookshelf. This is my kind of energy, okay? My kind of energy. I'm not Takia, I'm not trying to take your man. I am too, let me just clarify. He's not my man, he's Takia's man, but he's my kind of man. It's his work, like me, because I don't want no. Takia might see me at behind the pen 2025 and try to run up on me. Takia, we good, sis. We heard you, mamas. That's your man. My man, my man, my man, my man. Okay, for everybody tuning in, do we have any more questions? I'm going to take that as a no. So I'm just going to say thank you so much for spending some time with us, talking to us about your. This is the last release, right? This was when I scheduled this. This was the latest release. Have you released something?
I have. I actually released. It's called The Perfection of a Moment. That is a unproblematic love story. I did Wedding Number 4 in my Jarreau series, and my traditional book came out.
Congratulations!
Yeah.
So, with all that said, what is next, and where can our sister girls keep up with you? You have a reading group. Tell us what it is. Tell us where we can follow you.
My readers group is on Facebook. It is called Kimberly's Cozy Corner. You can follow me on TikTok at Author Kimberly Brown, Instagram at Author Kimberly Brown. Twitter is Author K Brown, and then of course Facebook Author Kimberly Brown as well. So
y'all make sure y'all support Kimberly. Make sure y'all go read her back. Listen, I was on the what is the next book? Hold on now. I really appreciated that. And just again, kudos to a beautifully written story that truly gave me some perspective on something that I've seen, but I have not given much thought to, because if it's not in your face, it's easy to out of sight, out of mind, right? So you did a wonderful job, and I hope anyone who with this condition feels represented by this and seen, because I think that was I can't say it enough. You authors are just doing an amazing job of making Black people with differences feel seen, be seen, and bringing our different plights to into these beautiful, beautiful love stories.
Thank you.
Make us feel loved and like hopeful that love is out there for us. Maybe a little too hopeful. Maybe that's the problem. We're a little too hopeful. But that's another conversation for another day.
That it happens. It happens.
That's another conversation for another day.
These
Um,
book days are making regular people look very they're making them look real bad.
they are. They are. Like I
They
go
have
with
really unrealistic expectations.
I know for me, like I've actually had a guy say to me, like, I'm not one of them book niggas. And I was like, well, maybe that's the problem. Like you need to read these books and get some inspo. Or
Right.
maybe I'm just not inspiring you enough, but I need okay. But all right. I will see you ladies a couple weeks from now because we are in May for our last book before we take summer break. So that will be out probably next week. What the book is and the date. I don't want to say it yet because I think we still need to finalize some details. And I hope you join us. And thank you for tuning in, even though we had all these people tuned in, but only 3 people talked. But that's fine. I hope y'all like the book. I hope you guys gained something from hearing Kimberly talk about the book. I hope you go read more of Kimberly Brown because not only does she have upcoming releases or at least releases after this novel, but my girl got a back catalog. Okay, she got books. I was like, oh, this lady got books. I mean, oh, that's like so. Yeah, I'm not done. But anything you would like to tell us before we log off?
Um, if you're going to book events this year, I will be at Indie Love in June.
Okay.
I will be at the Lights Camera Action in July, not July, August, and the Boozy Book Tour in August. I have
She's
the
booked busy for summer. Yes, I love to
I
see.
signed up for a lot of things this year. I have the book cruise in September, and then myself and Aisha Bree are actually throwing our own um, book event here in Columbia in October. October 18th and 19th is called Southern Hearts and Fine Kisses.
So
So
y'all make sure y'all go check them out, okay? Because we only do BTP every other year, so no BTP this year. So I'm gonna try to pop up at some events because I want to meet more authors and meet more of you guys. And I think I'm gonna start a TikTok while we on summer break, y'all. I think I'm gonna start TikTok.
TikTok is where it's
I
at.
think I'm gonna start TikTok while we on summer break. So y'all try to hold me today. If y'all see me in the y'all know y'all see me in these internet streets, be like, girl, where's TikTok at? All right, y'all make sure y'all go check out Kimberly Brown. Thank you for tuning in. Love y'all. Bye.
Bye.